Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, here's the third video on how to properly make tinctures. There's an awful lot to go into, which I'm not covering in this kind of introductory videos for the average person. We are going to be offering this formula with the edible gold in it, available for sale in packages that you pour into a 2-liter bottle, the bigger bottles, and just add alcohol to. But alcohol is important as well, and we're going to talk about that in this particular segment, because this is a very alchemical mixture. This is not just an herbal tincture done by your local goofball or your nature person. This is high alchemical radionic art that only I am qualified for, being a subtle energy physicist. Now, the people that understand this the most tend to be alchemists and other people who understand subtle energies. And there's a lot going on here, and we're going to talk about that, and the importance of alcohol, etc. We also are constantly bathing these in pure, empowered energies, creating a sacred environment. That's why you have these white plates here. And, of course, when I store them, on top of every bottle is some sort of little pyramid. We sell these. These are really cool. They're 3-section pyramids, which means they generate an awful lot of pyramid energy, even though they're about 1 inch by 1 inch. I also use these, which are classic 2-inch by 2-inch pyramids. We sell these as well. Those are out of plastic. It's hard to get pyramids, believe it or not. But we sell these too, and probably more. Make sure you check our website. These little things are very important. Secondly, these plates and the pyramids, well, they last forever. You buy them once and you constantly leave them in this setup, and you don't have to buy them again. You're going to have to buy herbal ingredients occasionally, but even with that, you're going to make a lot. Putting together this whole thing the way we want, and the formulas being pure, organic, and we do charge all of our stuff. Now, I didn't get into all that, but not only do we charge the raw herbs and everything else that we send people. Again, this is a high alchemical path that only the society, only IGOS knows how to do. So this is part of a process that we do that takes a week of charging, where we put our herbs in through special energetic and radionic rates and so forth. So this is all part of what you're getting. And these certainly are going to create huge amounts of elixirs that are extremely powerful. The elixirs that you produce, or the formulas here, if you were to get a 1 ounce from someone else, which is generally fairly large, is equivalent to 10 ounces of what we give you. Well, I don't have to go over that. It's equivalent to 30 or 40 ounces that you're going to get from them. That's how many bottles you'd have to consume to get the potency that we give you, because it doesn't, it's not even on the measuring stick. What you get from common people is junk. They keep their amount down, so they keep their profit up. Do you want that? No. Spend more and get stuff that really works. This is critically important in your life. As I said, as an immune stimulant, this is an amazing formula that I've found for myself and for other people. Now, I make no claims of anything, but these are tried and true herbs. It's a food product, and it's quite amazing. But I have taken care of many different problems, particularly things like what apparently are even viral. Herpes virus, and mouth sores, all these things. I don't get these anymore, and I used to get them frequently. Had a slight little rash, nothing of a big deal, but it was enough to be noticeable and kind of annoying. Well, where did that come from? Knocked it right out. So, what you get, what everything else, who knows? All I know is this works extremely well, and you're not going to get anything better. These are historically tried and true herbals that have worked. Just look them up online of what they do if you have a question. Now, what they do for you, how they interact with your body, being a specific bioentity that you are, is always something that comes into question. And like everything, start slow and then see what happens. So getting back to these formulas here. Now, when you get into alcohol, which we have started here, using rum, well, rum has a very particular energetic nature to it. So does vodka. Vodka's kind of neutral. It comes from potatoes, usually, and these are a root plant. Rum is made from sugarcane, which is a Caribbean little higher spiritual energy, because it's the sugar cane comes from mostly from the Caribbean and other tropical climates, and it has that kind of energy in it. So each alcohol is a little different. So it's kind of got this, while vodka tends to be very neutral, and there doesn't seem to be much energies in that at all. There's a little bit of earth energies because you're using potatoes, which are roots. The problem with potatoes is that they're basically a nightshade, and they are deadly, except the amazing Aztecs and others figured out how to make them edible, which most of the world lives on now. Pretty fascinating. But that's another story. So, but alcohol is good. So what kind of alcohols do you have? Gin, of course, is made from juniper. I don't know if they use the berries or whatever there, but it's another kind of, is that a tree or plant? I'm not sure. But again, it's relatively neutral. Gin, vodka is neutral. Rum is a little spiritual. And the big mother is scotch and whiskeys. So this gives you a lot of energy, some good, some bad. Now, people who drink a lot of whiskey tend to be given very strong energies from the oak barrels that they are stored in. Oak trees are very mysterious. They're very, they come from Europe, particularly Western and Central Europe, I believe. I don't know if the oaks go all off of Europe or not, but oak trees are very masculine, powerful energies. And as such, a lot of people that drink the amber liquids, and that ain't beer, can be excited to levels of violence, etc. They tend to empower that because the raw energy coming from the oak is a very strong one. You need this energy, and that part of that should be in your formula. So if you want to use vodka, if you want to use gin, if you want to use rum, well, that's all fine. It's even better to make a multi-combination of all of those and put them in there. It doesn't hurt. If you like a particular flavor, if you're a scotch drinker or a gin drinker, well, having a formula that tastes like that will make it easier for you to taste it, to take it. Herbal extracts, which is what you're doing here, the alcohol pulls the soul of the herb energy out. So it pulls it out of that, and the stronger the alcohol is, supposedly, the more it pulls out. But, there's a diminishing return there. I don't like to use very high alcohol content because I'm not sure that's good for the entire process, even though they claim it is. Getting a 54% or in that area, or 40%, which you get with most liquors, is plain good enough. So, that's what's happening here. You're not liquefying anything. You're going through an extraction process. Does everybody get that? You're extracting the essence from the actual herbs that are here. That's why using powdered and chopped as fine as you can is always the best way to go. So if you buy any kind of herbs, you try and get them powdered. If not, you get what's available. So as long as they're not the raw, actual herbs. In terms of they're not cut up or stuff, because this makes it difficult. So you want to make sure they're at least chopped. Powdered is best if you can get that. And of course, organic is always better. So what we're talking here, and we show right now, is the fact that we do want to add a little bit of, quote, whiskey here. Well, this here is a type of bourbon that I have here that is imported from the United States. The problem is that, of course, bourbons tend to add sugar in their liquors. So this is something I just found out kind of recently. That's why bourbon tastes a little bit of sweet. Now, this is done with a lot of whiskeys now. Scotches and everything else, they're adding sugar. This generally isn't good, and you want to stay away from things. But I got a little bourbon here to demonstrate here as this, because these are basically aged in oak casks, and they're aged for several years. So you're getting that kind of energy from it. So let's go here and go through the process again of what we're going to do. So as I said, you're storing them like this. Take these off while you're opening them. You can see this is what they look like now after a couple of days since I made these. You can see they've pretty much taken in all the liquid that is there. And that's good. The extracting process is working, but that's, of course, is not enough to get what you want. So what we want to do here, of course, we're going to open these up. Now, again, rum is not aged in, I don't think it's aged in any, no. Rum isn't aged in any kind of I don't know if rum is aged in general, but alcohol, you can age any alcohol, but it's not in oak cask. Now, when you have sour mash or bourbon, these are generally aged, and they're aged in oak barrels, as most scotch and other things. And this gives it a certain flavor, but you're also drawing in that spiritual energy. So let's open up this bourbon, and let's put a little in here. Oh, I forgot to test that to make sure it's good. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Now, so we put that in there because now we're bringing in this alchemical energy. Now, as I said, we alchemically alter and change all of our formulas. You notice also that I labeled these correctly. This is the Miracle Tincture 0829. So you put that on here, and you should have that labeled to make sure. I got an actual label gun, but you can just actually tape on a piece of paper there, whatever works for you. Okay, let's add the rum in now. So, and again, you want to fill this up very, very high. This is where you're getting all your stuff. This is what you're going to pour out. You're going to be refilling this. And we'll go into that, and you're going to pour out some of this stuff, or I should say not pour it out, but once it ages properly, you're going to put it in another decanter, and then you're going to fill this up again, because there's so much herbs here that you can easily get double the amount here, which is a fantastic value. You'll see here, this is the actual gold, see? Very important, and in our mixtures that we're going to be selling, we're going to be giving you a package of actual gold to put in there. We're also going to have separate packages that have the actual white plates in it, that have pyramids, and that have tachyons, and have the crystals, etc. And again, those are a one-time buy, but those aren't cheap. Good stuff is expensive. All these plates and good crystals and everything else are expensive. You can spend $30, $40 just for one crystal. And the plates and everything else are not cheap. So what you do here is you fill it all the way up there. Let me see, can we get more in there? Yes, we can. Let me get the little bit here out. Okay. What happened there? Now, the one good thing about alcohol tinctures is that, there's no worries of anything going bad. This is not going to go bad. These are permanently preserved here. Now, some people think that certain essences or tinctures are not good for long periods of time. I completely and totally disagree. I think the longer, the better. It's an extraction process. It may cause a little bitterness, but to extract things, taking time to do things. Alcohol that is aged for many, many years tastes much better. It's an alchemical transmutation process. So let's get this all the way up to the top here. I spilled a little. What a shame. So the whole idea is we have to fully understand that and keep the entire process. Okay, after that ridiculous interruption, we'll move on to, now that you poured it in there, you pick this up and you shake it. Now, these are well sealed, and they should be. You shouldn't have to worry about this. Make sure everything is clasped down. You don't want these open. Just shake it really good. You spin it clockwise. You want to make sure you do that. These are old seals, and maybe a little tiny bit comes through. And basically, you can never shake these and stir them enough. So you want to make sure that all that alcohol that's in there is now getting into this entire mixture. What you can see here, you think you're going to get that from a commercial person? You think you're going to get that kind of herbal tinctures? Well, we are going to be offering tinctures as well, and they're not going to be cheap, but they're going to be awesomely powerful. One of our tinctures could be 10, 20 of another one easily, because they're giving you a tiny bit. This is what they would give you, and they'd fill this up with alcohol. Look at how much we have in here. So again, you can hear the crystal in that one. And again, clockwise spinning of anything is the proper energy. So So the whole idea is that clockwise is good, meaning positive energies. Counterclockwise is bad, as a general rule. Now, something that's 100% balanced will have all three spins in. But any toxic, any poison spins counterclockwise or left spin. Good stuff spin, right spin. It's just kind of as simple as that. It ain't complicated. They proved this, and that's how it works. Now, these tinctures are basically done. You put your stuff back on it, you leave them on their plates, and you just let them do their thing. As I said, you should basically shake and mix these in terms of like I did. There's no reason to open the tops and mix with a spoon or anything else. You shake them, you mix them. You never open these. There's no reason to until you start to dispense it. You just sit there, and it should be in a cool, dry place, obviously. This helps the process without causing problems. You don't want to leave these in the sun. You don't want direct light to get on them. The photons break everything down, and this generally isn't a good process because it breaks everything down. So about 3 times a week, you just go in there. It takes less than a minute to shake both of these. You're done. You leave it there, you go. So, as I said, these aren't going to be ready, and we'll show you how to dispense these in the future. But basically, it's a very simple process as well. But you can see, even with all this, this isn't going to change that much. You're only getting this amount from there. Well, that's extremely powerful. But we are going to refill these up again after we drain these out into another bottle after 90 days. And then we're going to fill them up and do it again. So you get an awful lot of product in terms of tinctures of very high power or healing abilities because you're getting the ratio here is so different. So as I said, it's not just the formulas. Now, we will be offering all sorts of, as I said, getting a course in this is so valuable and so important to everybody that I super recommend it. If you don't know how to make herbs, if you're not making herbs and using them and knowing the ins and outs of it, you are really screwing yourself. Buying stuff in the store, if they're in capsules like I showed where they take the powdered herb and fill it up into a little gel capsule, these are not enough. You're not getting enough, and your body has to break those down. Well, how much is that is broken down to a point that you can use it? It also has to go through your liver and kidneys at a high level. All of this causes all sorts of problematic absorption problems. So you want to turn everything into a liquid. You just want to take this liquid, put it in your mouth, and swish it around, then swallow it. This way you're absorbing it as best you can. Now, so the whole idea, if you're not doing that, but if you're using commercial stuff, you're really wasting your time as well. I've gotten mediocre results from all my commercial stuff that I've purchased and really wondered, well, why are there books written on how powerful this herb is and it doesn't seem to be doing anything? Why? Is it the right herb? Well, we don't really know because the laws based in purity, since this is a food, are relatively non-existent. The other problem is, what are they using? What species? How are they doing? What is the extraction process? Most of these things, like one of the things that I always find extremely amusing is the fact of when you get any kind of combination supplement or herbs. Well, you got 10 herbs in there. What is that? A drop, a pinch, a little pinch that is taken out and put in a capsule? Do you think that pinch of that particular herb is going to do anything? Well, we get to be ridiculous levels at that point. So it's not there. And even if it has some potency, your body's not taking it in. It's going in your stomach. The acids are trying to break it down. You're trying to separate it and get the good stuff out of it. It just is a very poor delivery system. So it doesn't work. So what you have to do is make tinctures. You need to make your own tinctures. When you buy the raw herbs like this, you're getting super potencies. And we do a whole bunch of things to it alchemical. We do all sorts of other things. And so when you get things from us, it's very, very high potency. We also buy the finest quality organic herbs on the market. So we pay top dollar for everything. So, but when you get all the herbs ready to go without the hassles that we will be offering here in the future, hopefully, I'm still working out getting that together with my herbist. this makes it real easy because what you're going to do is just pour the herbs into a jug, and this will be a 2-liter, which will basically be this put together, a little less. You'll pour that into one particular bottle, and you should get these types of bottles, which we'll leave up to you. And then you add the alcohol, which we've just told you. You should add whatever works best for you. You can, but you need to add a little bit of whiskey, whether that's scotch or bourbon, etc., because that has that tree energy in it. And we'll give you all this, and then you are ready to go. It's all there. And we also will have a package of giving you all these extras. The tachyons, the plates, the pyramids, everything will be put together in a package for you if you want to buy that extra. That is, again, unfortunately, with most things in life now, anything that's quality and good is not dirt cheap. But we're going to give it to you as a package there that you use for the rest of your life, and it's well worth it. I mean, what's amusing is that, and I guess most of this stuff is covered by insurance, but you can drop, and I have spent this, and I've had sick relatives, $150 for one prescription, hundreds. I had one prescription that was $1,500 a month. So the fact that you go out and spend a few $100s to get the proper formulas and these lifetime tools is a bargain. And that's just the way things are. If you want the good stuff, you're going to have to pay for it or buy the basically colored water or little tinctures of very expensive alcohol that you're going to get from all these other manufacturers. I don't think they have any credibility whatsoever. I don't trust anybody. There may be some good companies, there usually are, but, they're not going to make them. Most likely an herbalist would tell you, well, this is too much potency. You don't need that. You're overdoing it, Thor. That ain't good. Oh, yeah, it is good because it kicks ass, and it works. While they're trying to just make an extra buck and live in their fantasy world that fits into there. Well, I hope to have a whole line of tinctures coming out. I had this going about 20 years ago and had a problem with the person, but I'm going to try and put together some very potent tinctures. One of the problems out there as well that is causing all these diseases, mental, spiritual, and physical, is parasites, funguses, and viruses. Well, there are things that can combat these, particularly the horrible parasitic situation we have right now. Well, I'm going to make a super parasitical formula. I work with people all the time that are suffering from high cross conditions, high conditions where they are cursed or even have bad spirits around them. Every single one of them hooks up to be extremely infested with parasites. I don't know if the parasites call in the demons or the demons call in the parasites. I have no idea. All I know is that this is what's happening and we need to get in there and deal with it now. So I expect to come out with these formulas as well and expect to make some very high-level formulas and tinctures that are charged, that are very energetic in nature, and there's a lot of things you need to do. As I said, you need to use our particular tachyons, very important. You need to put stones and crystals in the mix. And these can be varied because there are certain shape vibrational energies. The platonic shapes are very powerful. Those can go in your particular mixes here. There are other stones for particular conditions or problems. Those should be dropped in. Now, stones will push out these sacred vibrational energies into the alcohol, and it will blend with are considered more physical ingredients. Now, we can break down these herbs into their physical components, meaning this is what comes from echinacea. It's a particular type of extract, but that's the physicality. What is the subtle energy physics of it? Well, this is a whole area that virtually no one knows about it except myself, who's been involved in this field now for almost 50 years and has a doctorate in subtle energy physics. So the whole idea is I know. So these kind of things, using crystals, using special stones, using all the other things that are involved in this, really bring your formula up to a high level. And that's why my formulas work so well. It's not just the herbal combinations. Now, these are very important. Getting dense amounts of extracts from these and what goes on there is very, very important because you're not getting that. You're not getting it. You take a little capsule that has God knows how many milligrams in there. It's not enough. A bottle, you get one of these plastic bottles, the whole bottle, there's hardly anything in there. So the whole idea is that you're just not getting enough. And if you're getting multi-formulas, you're again not getting enough. You're just not getting what you need. So if you were to take huge amounts of these things and take capsules, it still wouldn't work because you're not digesting it well. Even if you took a large amount of it. You've got to have tinctures. You've got to extract the good stuff out of there so your body can handle it. It's not what you put in your mouth. It's what you digest that counts, plain and simple. If you're not assimilating something, it doesn't matter how much you take it. It doesn't even matter if you take it in a tincture. What is the best way to assimilate it? Well, the best way to assimilate it at this point is alcohol tinctures, plain and simple. So, this is all very important for everyone to understand with the reality of how to do things. So it doesn't matter what you take. It doesn't matter, oh, it's pure, we've tested it. Yeah, well, is your body taking it in? Capsules don't work. Tablets don't work. Tinctures work, and then you got to make sure you got enough of the potency of those herbs in there, and you got to know the pedigree of it. Where did it come from? What are you doing? But there are the other aspects, because we're too sick. We are too at a point in our evolution that we need something that is energetically high. And that's where using all these alchemical formulas come in. The actual plates, the pyramids, the tachyons, the crystals, all of this is critically important. And we're coming up with a hybrid plate here in the near future, which will have other energies, tachyons, magnetic, and so many other things in there, that you place things on top to energize them. Now, this is very important because it makes these substances be able to be taken in by your biosystem at a very high level. What does that mean? It works for you instead of not working. I took herbs for years and years and studied it for years and years. Couldn't figure out why it didn't work. Well, it didn't work because you weren't really getting the substance. The minute I started making my own tinctures, did I start to get awesome results. Before that, I started to get some mediocre results using other people's tinctures, but they just weren't powerful enough. But they did help a wee bit. But I found that wee bit, the minute you got a serious problem, didn't work. You needed something more than that. And secondly, the cost of tinctures, $25, $35, $45, $55 for one pitiful tincture is not the way to go. It's a waste of money. It generally still is not working, and it's a ripoff, plain and simple. You can make awesome tinctures that would, if you bought these from someone else, would cost you $500, $600, $700 worth of tinctures that still probably wouldn't work because they're so weak. You get in our mixtures, and you just can't beat them. So you'll get all the pricing, everything else, and that'll be there when and if this kicks off. But you have a basic idea of how to make things right now if you want to go through the trouble. Getting these herbs, combining them, doing what you're doing here is a little bit of a pain in the neck. We're going to give you that. All you're going to have to do is, and we'll probably even sell bottles if you want to, but you can get these cheaper. All you got to do is get a bottle, get the alcohol. Get the alcohol. Do the simple thing, and we'll have a simple guide when we have our actual formulas. And you're done. You just got to sit there. Now, you'll see already, if you noticed here, the herbs have sucked in what I put, because I had these at a higher level up to the top here, if you remember. I had these all the way up here, and you can see how they're down already. Because this has drunk it in. That's exactly what we want. Now, when you're in a day or two, you'll see even more of this. So what you do is you get this again, and then this is what you do, and you put it upside down. And as I said, don't worry about leaking. It's not going to leak if this is on here properly. And then you turn it upside down like that. You shake it, spin it. You want to make sure you're moving that around. So again, one of the best things to do is to hold it upside down. See if we can get a little bit here. Because you're using gravity to force the liquid up into the herbs there. You spin it clockwise, shake it again, and put it down on your plate. Now, since this has drunk up a little, boozy, the boozers that herbal concoctions can be, we want to fill this in with some more up to the top. Because you want to get as much as you can in these bottles. This is very potent. And the more you put in here, the more you're going to get for your money. Close them up again. You can see it's kind of quite a bit here, so let's fix that there so you don't have herbs kind of sitting at the top here. And make sure they're down in the alcohol where you can extract from them. This one was okay, but let's do it anyway. The whole idea is to get the liquid pushing up there, and you can see on the top if you have too much there, spin it a little, make sure there's nothing grabbing there that much. Not that it really matters that much. What do? There you go. So, that is it. Now you can see how it's all the way to the top here. And as I said, this starts to go down a little bit over the month or so. You keep adding it up as high as you can. It looks like I may have a little bit of space here to fill this in even higher. The better you fill it in, the more you fill it in, the better. Let me see if I have there. Let me open this up and put a little more in there. It looks like I have space. Let's see. A little bit of space. Yeah, because the seal is way high, so you got to be careful. You don't want it right up to the seal, because then you'll mess the seal up to a certain degree. But we can get more in there. And you got to remember, this is a 90-day process, so it's not something that you can just make easily. You want to make sure you've got enough fluid in there that is going through the extraction process that has the same potency, other than stuff that you may add in a week or two. Everything you add in a week or two means you've had that less of a extraction process for that. But of course it blends in with the other ones. How much that affects or not, we don't know. But you can see how now there's even a little more room. You want to try and get it up as close to the seal as possible without totally affecting the seal. There you go. That's the entire process. There's lots of little details. Make sure you check out my herbal course that will be coming out in a few months. Also watch if we're going to be offering these packages and kits for other things. This will probably take from the date that this is posted, probably at least a month or two. It's quite a process to get everything going, buying everything, getting it packaged, getting it ready to be sold. All this takes a lot of time and a lot of money and everything else to get going. So you'll see that, but this is how you make an extract. It's very, very easy. You put the herb in a container, you fill it with alcohol, that is it. The extraction process is going on. It's just a matter of time. And you want to move the liquid through these substances by shaking and tipping them like I've done. Then it's just a matter of waiting. As I said, the minimum is 90 days, and then it's fairly ready. And you've got pretty potent extractions that have already happened. From there, I just leave mine. I've had extracts that are several years old, and there's nothing wrong with it. Alcohol doesn't go bad. These are not going to go bad. These herbs are never going to go bad in here. Alcohol doesn't go bad. So you don't have to worry about that. But you don't want something just sitting on the shelf and you never touching it and handling it and everything else. And there are extra psychological, spiritual, and other things that can be done as well. There's also radionic ways to empower this if you have a machine. All of this will be covered in our course. There are certain things that you can think about when using these things or shaking them. All of these things are part of the process depending on how complicated you want to make it or not. Generally, you don't. You just put it in there, you're done. The plates do the work for you. They're generating the subtle energies. The pyramids are generating the subtle energy. This is all part of the process. And do not be fooled. These subtle energy aspects are super, super important. Don't be fooled. There is a potency factor. There's using the right combinations, the right alcohol, extracting using large amounts of it. But there are the hidden potencies, the things that make this into the miracle elixir, which is a spiritual, energetic fields that are difficult to understand and know how to access. I've spent my whole life figuring that out, and it pays off. The usual combination, like this wonderful synergistic reality you run into of using this earth-bound physical wonder of herbs, the amazing tools that have been provided for us here, combining that with more spiritual understanding, moving away from what tends to be primitive and unforgivable earth energies that we are not really that connected with, but we're here and we live off the earth. It's very important. On the other hand, we must separate ourselves from this. We separate from ourselves from the, quote, animals on this planet that are perfectly adjusted here. We are freaks. We need subtle energies, and we need them now badly. So as usual, people, I hope you've enjoyed this. These are the secrets of the secrets as I keep releasing to those few who are smart enough and who are directed to come here. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I am generally available. Make sure you can go on YouTube up to the top right, and you can click on About Us. Or I'll go to the About key, wherever that is. I think that's to the right, not quite at the top. At the top is where the Patreon support is, but you can find the About page and you'll see our contact information there, and you can email me, and I'm more than happy to help people as best I can, getting them started, getting them going, and as best we possibly can. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time.